Hello, and welcome to The Three Techs. It's often too easy to get caught up in the latest and greatest camera gear.
Over the last 10 years, a lot of changes have happened in digital cameras.
We've had new technologies like backside illuminated sensors and also mirrorless cameras.
But has all this technology change made a noticeable difference in the photos that we take?
Can you actually look at a photograph and tell if it was taken with an old camera or a modern camera?
There's only one way to find out.
Let's do a test. I'll shoot with a 10-year-old DSLR camera system. And Bob, why don't you use a modern interchangeable lens camera system? To make this test fair, we'll shoot the same subjects with similar composition. After the shoot, Stephen, you'll try to guess which photos were taken with the old versus the new camera.
Okay.
Today I'll be shooting with the Nikon D700 camera, which was originally released in July of 2008. At the time, it cost $3,000, but today you can buy it for $500 to $600 used. It has a full-frame 12-megapixel sensor, and I'll also be using the Nikon 28 to 300 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6 lens. You can buy this lens today for about $950.
Today I'm shooting with the Olympus OMD-EM1 Mark II camera that came out in 2017. The camera is a micro four thirds sensor with 20 megapixels. Originally about $2,000 purchase price. The lens I'm using today is the Olympus 40 to 150 Pro zoom with a f2.8 continuous aperture that sold for approximately $1,500.
We set off to photograph some elk in a grove, in a town aptly named Elk Grove. This proved more challenging with mosquitos. They were relentless, and standing still was not a good idea. It was time to get out of there. So we went over to a different part of the forest preserve in an open field.
The top of the tree line, dead center.
Okay. The sun was setting soon.
Yeah, very close to that.
Okay.
The sun's moved down quite a bit, so let me flight over and just get the same thing.
The light was changing rapidly.
See if we have a second, and ISO 200.
So we had to hurry.
One thing that might be interesting is to shoot through that slot and down back on the lake that way, just to see what that looks like.
Okay.
Maybe with a longer lens or a longer focus.
Let's do it.
I don't know, what's that look like?
Thanks.
So you're focusing on the thistles.
Sort of like that. Apparently, mosquitoes also like open fields. From the top.
See?
Yeah. We've taken some shots side by side. Let's go back to the studio and take a look.
Sounds good, let's go.
All right. All right, we're back in the studio, and I've culled all the photos and put them side by side, labeled them A and B. Now, to be fair, the letters don't always correspond to the same camera. For example, the old camera is not always A or B. Stephen has not seen any of these photos yet, so he'll try to guess which photo was taken with the old or the new camera. Bob also doesn't know the order of the photos, although he did take half of them, so I'll ask Bob to simply write Stephen's answers down on this whiteboard here and also his answers. Since I prepared the slides, I'll try to remain totally neutral. Any questions?
So should I just pick the one I prefer or try and figure out which is the old and which is the new?
Great question. So let's do both. First, why don't you try to pick the photo that you prefer, and then decide whether or not it was taken with the old or the new camera.
Okay.
All right. I think Bob and I took some great photos here, so let's get started.
Okay.
Photo number 1.
Okay, so I can see a color difference. Not much else. I think I prefer B. I'm going to guess that's the newer camera.
Bob?
I kind of like A, and I think A is the newer camera.
All right. Let's move on to the next photo. Here we have a lovely elk smiling for the camera.
Yeah, you got a great shot here. So again, the predominant difference is color. Maybe the one on the right seems a little sharper. Again, I'm going to choose B as my preference.
Okay. Steven says B, and he thinks it's the new camera. Bob, what do you think?
Well, I kind of like the colors in A because the elk's color's a little better. I again think that's the new camera.
Okay. Bob thinks A is the new camera.
Yeah, I'm going to change my mind and go to A.
Okay. All right. Third photo. Looks like we have a shot of something in the ground here.
So again, the B seems punchier, again a little sharper I would say, and I'm going to choose B and guess that that's the new one.
I see a similar color difference between the two, the last two. B is a little bluer, and it's probably a little sharper. Boy, I'm having a tough time. I'm going to pick B.
All right. Photo number 4.
What a great shot. I think I prefer B.
I really like A. Boy, that's tough. I'm going to say it's the new camera.
All right. Photo number 5. Next photo.
Similar overall. I think I prefer A now, actually.
There's a similarity here between the color difference, and it's like I like the greens and the trees in A. I don't know. I'm a big fan of A. I'm going to say A is new.
Okay. Next photo. This one,
Incredibly similar.
to me, is a tough one.
Yes.
Just as a side note, when I was preparing these, I put them together, but I didn't label them. And when I came back to them several weeks later, I couldn't tell the difference in this one in particular but myself, so I had to look it up. So this is a challenging one, I think.
B is a bit more vibrant. I think I'm going to prefer B, and again stick with B as the new.
I'm completely opposite. I think the colors on the posts are better in A, and I think it's the new camera.
Here's photo number 7. Is
I
anything
think there's a lot more punch in B.
in B? Okay. So you pick. Do you like B better than
Yes.
Bob?
I'm going to agree with Steven.
All right. Bob also picks B. Thinks it's the new camera. Okay.
That's tough. The flare is a little different.
The lens flare is a little different.
The color is similar, but I'm going to pick B. It's a bit random.
I'm thinking I have to abstain.
Okay.
Okay, and I will tell you why in a minute.
Let's leave it at that for now. Number 9, final photo. It's a stop sign. It's appropriate.
Okay.
What do you notice right off the bat, Stephen?
This is a darker red and slightly more magenta-y red on the right.
Yep.
The leaves are a lot better on B. So I'm going to pick B. And new camera.
Okay. Bob?
A.
A. Just curious, why do you think that?
The color rendering
And the
in the
stop sign.
the color rendering in the JPEG.
Yeah.
I think it's better. I'm sort of praying that A is my camera.
Because you hope and pray that this is your camera.
Yeah.
With the more accurate color. Okay. We are now going to reveal the answers. I'll remind you of your answers, and we'll go through each photo again. So this was the first photo, and Stephen, you picked B. Basically, in all the cases, when you picked it, you assumed it was the new camera, right?
Yes.
So I won't say you thought it was the new camera. I'd say you preferred that one, you thought it was the new camera. Bob, you picked A, thought that was the new camera. So, B was the new camera.
Okay.
There's probably not too much to go by in this photo. I mean, as far as how to pick
No.
out the details. The colors are fairly similar, although if you look at the greens, they might be slightly different in the leaves there, but it's a tough call. Next photo, photo number 2. Stephen, you picked A. the one on the left. And Bob, you also picked A. And A is the new camera.
Okay.
So the things that I noticed as I was going through these photos is that I could definitely see more detail. The color rendering was definitely much more pleasing in the Olympus versus the Nikon. Photo number 3. Stephen, you picked B. Bob, you also picked B. B is the new camera.
Okay.
The sharpness on the D700 just wasn't on par with the Olympus. You could, if you definitely look at the soil here and the grass here, you could definitely see how it's just not there. I mean, it's not out of focus, it's just the detail is not there.
Yeah.
So you both got that one. All right, photo number 4. Stephen, you picked B, the one on the right, and Bob, you picked A. So A, in this case, is the Olympus, the newer camera. Bob, you got that right. All right, photo number 5. And Stephen, you picked A on the left. Bob, you also picked A, and A was the newer camera. I think, Bob, you mentioned the colors look slightly different, and I can also see that the detail in the leaves is not as sharp on the older camera. Photo number 6. To me, this was hard. Stephen, you picked B, the one on the right. Bob, you picked A. And A was the newer camera. There probably wasn't much to go by as far as sharpness, unless you were really looking into the detail on the paint that was worn out on these posts. Next photo, photo number 7. In this photo, Stephen, you picked B. Bob, you also picked B. B, one on the right, was the Olympus, was the newer camera.
Those two are so close.
They are very close. I think the thing that gives it away for me is if you look at the stems and the little thorns that are sticking out on them.
Yeah, they're better.
They look a lot sharper. Photo number 8. I feel like this was a tough one. Bob, you abstained, but Stephen, you picked B, the one on the right. And one on the right was the Nikon.
And I will tell you why I abstained.
Was it these?
Because I know that my camera and my lens and the lens flare and the blue dots on the lens flare is that camera on that lens. So that's why I abstained, because I just knew it.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. All right, last photo. Stop sign. Stephen, you picked B. Bob, you prayed that A was your camera.
I'm still praying that A is my camera. I'm still praying. I was wrong! Oh!
A was the older camera. Stephen, you were right. Yeah, I did notice that magenta shift in the stop sign red there on the Olympus.
Now that I can actually go look at my images, I want to compare the JPEG to the RAW, and which I haven't been able to do yet. So it'll be interesting. But that magenta just turned me off.
Yeah. All right, time for the final results. Stephen, you got 6 out of 8, and Bob, you also got 6 out of 8, 75%.
Okay.
What I did was I took out that one shot, Bob, where you said you were going to abstain because you knew that that particular blue lens flare was your camera. You were both able to pick out the newer, better looking image from the new camera 75% of the time. So, Bob, what do you think?
I'm happy. Both because we were able to see the difference, but also for the decisions that I've made in my camera purchases, that I'm purchasing equipment that solves problems for me, and that you can tell that I'm getting better image quality, and that to me is wonderful.
Yeah. Stephen?
So I think it was a really interesting contest because we had new equipment against old equipment, a 10-year gap, that's really big. And of course, micro four thirds against full frame. So it just shows the kind of advances in technology. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I've got to take my hat off to the Olympus and micro four third camera. Well, there you have it. So the answer to, can you tell the difference between a 10-year-old camera and a modern camera, I think at least in this case, is yes.
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 All right. Subscribe for more episodes. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on The Three Techs.